Welcome to Disneyland Paris. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides, and today I'm checking out the Walt Disney Studios Park, the smallest, probably least Disneyest Disney park
in the world.
I visited this park for the first time a couple years ago, like 6 years ago, and was less than impressed, so I'm excited to give it a second chance and to take you guys with me. But I think if you're a big fan of Disney parks, especially anything in Orlando, you'll see why I find this park kind of a disappointment. It's August, so it's the middle of the summer season, and you can see that it is quite full. The time is 9:23, the park opens at 10, and this is how many people are already waiting here to get in. But this is what the main entrance looks like. We've got this big Walt Disney Studios arch. Behind it, can't really see it right now, is the water tower with the ears on it, like the old Earful Tower, formerly seen in Florida. And what can we see from here? Like when you enter a Magic Kingdom park, first you walk under the archways that take you into the park, and here you walk through this huge building that's like a food court. And that's sort of the magical passageway into the park. So here we are inside Walt Disney Studios Paris, trying to sort of make a mad dash here to get to the Crush's Coaster, because it's one of the major rides that has no fast pass, which is also strange. And I wanted to show you this big building that you walk through. It looks, I mean, it is huge. It looks very majestic. But I just feel like the first impression of the park should be, I don't know, something different than walking through this. Oh, I'm gonna get a map. Map. So, this is what you walk through. And I mean, it's interesting. It looks sort of like a movie set or a movie studio, but what it is it's a food court. A food court, and there's a shop here. And for me, I don't know. It just seems strange. And when you get to the other side, that's where you can see almost the entire park. And you'll see that in a second. This reminds me of Cars Land in California. And here we are in the park. Here's a nice statue of Mickey and Walt, which you recognize from Magic Kingdom in Florida. In this direction we have the Tower of Terror standing right there in the middle of the park. Back there is a Rock and Roller Coaster, literally sort of just around the corner. And down this way we have Crush's Coaster, Toy Story Land, and Ratatouille. Welcome to Radiator Springs, it says. Unfortunately, no Radiator Springs racers here. Gosh, that's hard to say. And here we are at the entrance to Crush's Coaster. The park is literally just open. It's already a 30-minute standby time. And this is what the ride looks like. There's a small outside area, and then the rest of it is a basic spinning coaster that you can see at a lot of fairgrounds and other amusement parks, but then without the theming. We've got the Aladdin's carpets over here. Not sure what what Aladdin is doing here next to Crush, but that's this park. Crush's Coaster was pretty cute. It's the line takes forever, and I would suggest doing it as like the very first thing, because I think that'll be the shortest wait you'll have, or do the single rider line. And there was a lot more in the beginning, a lot more extra stuff to the ride than I expected, and the ride itself is thrilling. I mean, it's more thrilling of a ride, I would say, as far as like the speed and changes of direction, than Big Thunder Mountain. And anyways, we've moved on now and we're here in the new Ratatouille area, and we're gonna get a fast pass if there's any left. This is what it looks like. Here's fast pass. Where's my touch? There we go. I can't get it out. As recently announced in the D23 convention, and I talked about it also in a Sunday story time, this whole area, or at least this ride, is going to be coming to Epcot very soon. So I'm excited to sort of get a preview of it here. And it's something also that I have not done at this park because it was not here yet the last time I was here. So we did Crush's Coaster and got a fast pass for Ratatouille, and it's now 10:37. We realized that they opened Crush's, they let us into the park at around 9:30, and Crush's Coaster was already running, so I think that's a good thing that they're doing to get the crowds through. And we're walking back now towards the front, towards that big building, because we haven't had anything for breakfast. Nothing to drink, nothing to eat, nothing. So walking back past Crush's Coaster, through the Radiator Springs area, and I'm gonna get a little snack for breakfast. This is the place to go to get coffee and small snacks, the Hepcat Corner, and they're closed, and we were confused because, I mean, it's the middle of the summer and everything is open or should be open, and we realized that there's actually somebody inside there, and he's here to work today, but he can't open because he can't get the window up. It's stuck, and nobody has come yet to help him open it, which is also quite odd. This is what I got. It's like a sweet pretzel type Danish thing, and I'm excited to eat it. All right, people were asking me to show things that are unique to Disneyland Paris, and this is one of them. This is part of a set piece, or what would you call it, a prop, a vehicle from the movie Armageddon, a movie that most people haven't seen, at least most people I think under the age of probably 30 haven't seen. And there is an Armageddon effect show right over here, and to give you a little bit of a orientation of where we are, here's Tower of Terror, and right through here is where that big building is where we came in. And over here is something else that you can only do here. That's Cinemagique. Yeah, he'll be happy about that later. And they also have a Stitches Live show, which is right over here. And down here, at the end of this street, is also something that you now can only do here, and that is the Lights, Motors, Action Stunt Show. Used to be also in Orlando, but has been gone, has been sacrificed for Star Wars Land. And just over that way is Rock and Roller Coaster. And we just finished the Armageddon show. Armageddon reminds me of the old school Disney Hollywood Studios or Disney MGM Studios attractions. It's an effects show, and the story is you are hired as actors to play in a scene being filmed for Armageddon, where you're stuck on the space station that's getting bombarded by asteroids. And it starts out with sort of an interactive comedy show, and then you get into the set, which really seems like you're on a space station, and it's fun. It's scary, not for kids, but if you liked Twister at Universal Studios when it was still around, you'll like Armageddon. And right now we're walking around the back of the Tower of Terror, and look at this is what it looks like. Slightly less themed than the other Tower of Terrors. And behind me is also something that you can only do here now. The backstage or the backlot studios tour. Used to be able to do that in Orlando as well, and now that has also been taken away to become part of Star Wars Land and, or well, Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land. There it is. And we're gonna do Tower of Terror now. This is the same version that was in, that was built in California before they redid it to Guardians of the Galaxy. So still a great Tower of Terror experience, but not as good as in Florida. The main difference is, if you know Tower of Terror in Florida, once you go up the first time, then you travel forward before the main, you know, up and down free fall area. And here, you only go up and down and there's no traveling forward. It's still fun. Also, don't expect the nicely themed waiting area like in Orlando. This is what the queue looks like. This is something in this design that makes no sense to me. We're standing here waiting to get into the elevator. The elevator doors are in front of us. When the elevator doors open, there is no elevator. It's a hallway, and you go down the hallway to get to the elevator.
Mesdames et messieurs, vos chambres sont en bedrooms and are ready. And for our answer, the second son, all bags at your feet comes inside. I'm gonna put up at you know, catch your feet on the floor, please. Oh, come on, go to the back. The second one, you bag at your feet on the floor. And you want to watch this. I'm with you, how to chill, son, with your fire.
Lunch now here at the Blockbuster Cafe, which is one of just a few counter service restaurants in the park. It is sort of, it reminds me of one of the counter service places in Hollywood Studios in Florida, but I can't think of the name of it right now, so I don't know why I'm talking about it. But if you can think of it, write it in the comments below. It's backed by the Muppets. And it's in a big hall, and there's a couple different areas with sort of different theming, and we are in the Pirates of the Caribbean themed area, which is pretty nice. I got a, I'm trying to think of what it's called, a bruschetta with tomato and roquette. I can't think of the way to say the name of the cheese, I'm sorry. I think it's raclette cheese with some chips, and it cost 9.98 euros. Marcus got a croque monsieur, which is like a ham and cheese sandwich with cheese baked on the top of it. It looks fantastic if you're into ham. And he got a Coke, and that costs 10.98. They do have a menu deal here where you can get a sandwich or like something hot like a pizza with salad or chips, a drink, and a dessert for $14.99. But we decided to just go with this, what we have. And we are on our way to see a show that actually several of you recommended. It's called Mickey and the Magician, and it's a relatively new show here. I think they produced it for the 25th anniversary, and I mean, we like to see good shows, so let's see what it's like. Coming to the next show. It's sold out, or full, which speaks for the fact that if it's that popular, then it must be pretty good, or at least have a good reputation. So maybe we'll go check out Toy Story Land. This area is also coming to Florida in a much bigger version with the Slinky Dog coaster, which is, I recently saw online that they put the final piece of track in place, and it's supposed to open next summer. There is also a Toy Story Land area like this in, or Toy Story Playland is what it's called, like this in Hong Kong. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure this was the first one. And there are several attractions in here which are sort of family attractions, all themed to the Toy Story characters. However, almost all of them are really low capacity, which means they don't fit a lot of people in them, meaning the waits are quite long. But they're cute to look at, and it's supposed to make you feel like you're shrunk down to the size of a toy. The last time I was here, I was disappointed by this because we rode it 4 times, and 3 of those times there was no soundtrack running. So it was basically a roller coaster in the dark with no Aerosmith music. Because in comparison to the Florida version, in the big ride building that you get shot into, if I remember it correctly, at least last time I was here, there was no theming in there. You know, like in Florida, you've got the road signs and things like that. And this version doesn't have that. It's just like disco lights. But gonna give it another try and see if maybe they've updated it and if it's more fun than I remember it to be. We survived the rock and roller coaster, and it wasn't, as far as headbanging, it wasn't really that bad. Our last ride on Rock and Roller Coaster in Florida was much worse, and it was Indiana Jones over at Disneyland Park was much worse than this was. And actually I remembered the reason the effects are different is because the story is different. In the Florida version, you are visiting Aerosmith, who's recording something in a recording studio, and they're late for a concert, and so their manager or their agent or whatever organizes a super stretched limo, and that's what you ride with, and that's what you ride with, and that's what you ride with, and that's what you ride with to the concert. And so the theming is like you're on the, sorry, this is gonna be loud here, there's a big fan here from the Armageddon special effects show that just turned off. In Florida, the theming is that you're going down like the highway to the concert. And here, it's just Aerosmith said, oh, we created a great roller coaster and it goes like this and like this. You gotta try it. And that's the story. But they've added so many more lighting effects than they did, than they had last time. And I think it works really well. So, thumbs up. But it would definitely be improved if they added the new trains that they added to Space Mountain over in the Disneyland Park, because there's no headbanging possibility with those new trains. And I don't know why they don't do it, because that would only make it more fun. Got a little bit surprised by the rain, and now we're using our Fast Pass for Ratatouille. Check it out, see what it's like. Coming soon to Epcot. Yay! That ride was really cute, and I think it's gonna be great as an addition to the France area in the back of Epcot. It's something everybody can ride. You get shrunk down to the size of a mouse and are chased through the restaurant, and the effects work really well. It is a screen-based motion ride, a lot like a very tame version of Spider-Man or Transformers. That's how I would describe it. So it's fun for the whole family. It's a little bit thrilling, but I think it's great, and I'm really excited that it's coming to Epcot because I would like to ride it again. And as you can see now, it's raining. And we are in full rain monture, as we would say. And we're gonna go to the back lot tram tour now, because the waiting area has a roof over it and the trams also have a roof over it. And like I said, that's another thing that you can only do here now. Can't do it at Universal Studios Orlando anymore. You can't do it at Disney's Hollywood Studios or Disney's Hollywood Studios anymore. You can only do it at Universal Hollywood when it comes to the big movie parks that we all know. That dragon must have eaten some spicy nachos. Nachos. All right, so compared to the old Studios backlot tour that used to be in Florida, that was a little bit different and interesting. Definitely worth doing if you come here. The old version in Orlando used to have an effects show where you sat down in the audience and watched some things being sort of like produced with like explosion and water effects. And then you got in the tram, and then you saw some sets that were recreated, as well as the Catastrophe Canyon area. And here, you see the Catastrophe Canyon area, and geez, that was a lot of water. I don't remember it being that much water in Florida. And then there's a whole London set from a movie that I have never heard of, I don't think. Had something to do with dragons. And then there's supposedly a dragon that had destroyed that area of London and was sleeping then down in some sort of underground cavern, and he's breathing fire out. And that was something they never had in Florida. So that was interesting. And we are now gonna try to see Mickey and the Magician again. I just got another message on Facebook from Gilbert, hey Gilbert, that I definitely have to see it and should plan to see it twice. So let's see what this is all about. Mickey and the Magician was pretty nice. It was a character show with Mickey, Belle, Beast, Anna and Elsa, maybe just Elsa, Cinderella, the fairy godmother, maybe a couple of others. I get them kind of mixed up. And including live singing and some interesting special effects, and the production quality was very high, and I guess I would say I recommend it, but get there early, because this was the third or fourth show of the day, and it was packed, and we missed, as you saw, we missed one of the earlier shows because we didn't get there early. So yeah, just get there early, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And now we're not really sure what we're gonna do. Cinemagique seems to be closed for the day, and Stitch Live, it's not something I'm interested in seeing. Disney Junior, saw that in Orlando, don't necessarily need to see it again. And we have another Fast Pass for Tower of Terror. I don't know, and then maybe we're done. Maybe we'll go back over to Disneyland. Here I'm pointing out these old machines that, if you're as old as I am and have been going to Walt Disney World as long as I have, you'll remember these from the Main Street Penny Arcade, which has long since been swallowed up by a gigantic retail space. And the reason I took out the audio and I'm just talking over it is because there was a really loud music in the background that I know will get flagged by YouTube. So I wanted to make sure I could leave this video online and not get any problems. Overall, I was impressed with the way this park has developed, and we had a good time. And I think with the addition of Toy Story Land and the Ratatouille area and the new live shows, including the Star Wars characters and the Mickey and the Magician, I feel like this is getting close to becoming a well-rounded park. And if you compare it to what Hollywood Studios is like at the moment in Florida in the summer of 2017, I actually want to say you can almost have a little more fun here than you can in Florida right now. Of course, Florida has Fantasmic and the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, and of course, Muppets. And that's a little bit of a plus. I'm going to end it here, and thank you for watching this gigantic video. I hope you had a good time hanging out. As always, you can subscribe to me here on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Special thanks to my VIPs on Patreon and all my friends who support me on Patreon. And keep in touch, because there'll be another Sunday Storytime next week, and more videos from Disneyland Paris and Walt Disney World and my upcoming cruise. Bye-bye.